In 218 AD, a 14-year-old became the most powerful person on Earth. 4 years later, he was butchered in a palace bathroom by his own guards. This is Elagabalus, the teenage emperor who tried to destroy everything Rome stood for. He didn't just break Roman tradition, he obliterated it. Elagabalus kicked Jupiter off the throne, forced the empire to worship a foreign sun god, married sacred virgins, and according to scandalous sources, offered vast fortunes for a surgeon who could make him a woman. His short, chaotic reign wasn't just madness, it was a cultural war that nearly shattered the Roman Empire. This dark history reveals how one teenager's reign became ancient history's most bizarre political and religious disaster. This is One Past, Many Stories. And this is the story of the teenage emperor who tried to rewrite Roman religion, redefine imperial power, and was slaughtered for it. This is the rise and fall of Elagabalus. Our story doesn't begin in Rome. It begins far to the east, in the glittering Syrian city of Maesa. A place steeped in wealth, ancient rites, and the start of a dark history that would shake ancient Rome to its core. At the heart of this story is not a boy, but a woman. Julia Maesa, a force of nature, the sister of an empress, the aunt of an emperor. She had tasted power, and she would do anything to get it back. In 217 AD, that power was ripped away. Emperor Caracalla, her nephew, was assassinated. His replacement, Macrinus, was no monster, just a bureaucrat. But he made a fatal mistake, exiling Julia Maesa and her family back to Maesa. For him, it was politics. For her, it was personal. It was war. From exile, she began to scheme. She watched as Macrinus slashed army pay and signed humiliating peace deals. Soldiers grumbled, discipline wavered, and Julia Maesa, cloaked in silk and strategy, lit the match. Her weapon? A boy. But not just any boy. This wasn't just a teenager. This was a 14-year-old high priest who danced before a meteorite that Romans believed had fallen from heaven itself. His name was Varius Avitus Bassianus, high priest of the sun god Elagabal. He performed sacred rituals in silks and jewels, swaying before a conical black stone believed to be divine. To the Roman soldiers stationed nearby, he was mesmerizing. To Julia Maesa, he was a hammer. The journey from Syria gave Rome time to imagine the worst, and reality didn't disappoint. Elagabalus refused to wear the Roman toga. Instead, he sent a massive painted portrait of himself to hang in the Senate house, right over the altar of victory. In it, he appeared in silks, heavy makeup, dripping in jewels, not a Roman emperor but a Syrian priest. To the senators, it was a nightmare. Not a ruler, an invader in robes, and he wasn't coming alone. Elagabalus brought his god with him. A black meteorite, believed to be the physical form of Elagabal, was installed in a new gold-roofed temple on the Palatine Hill, the Elagabalium. Rome had seen foreign cults before, but this wasn't addition, it was conquest. Elagabalus declared that his god now ruled over Jupiter, Mars, and the entire Roman pantheon. Sacred Roman relics were forcibly moved into the Elagabalium, now servants to a black stone. He gave himself a new title, priest before emperor. He forced senators to attend bizarre rituals where he danced in flowing robes, sang in foreign tongues, and sacrificed hundreds of animals daily. The Palatine Hill stank of incense, blood, and humiliation. And the Roman legions, the same men who had conquered the world, were now watching their emperor twirl around a rock. Still not satisfied, he arranged divine marriages. First, he married the meteorite to Minerva, then divorced her, then imported a Carthaginian goddess named Urania for another wedding. This wasn't religious reform. It was sacrilege with a crown. But Elagabalus's religious revolution was nothing compared to what Romans discovered about their emperor's private life. Elagabalus's personal life defied every Roman ideal. Virtus, masculinity, self-control. Even biased sources like Cassius Dio couldn't contain their horror. His love life was chaos. He first married Julia Cornelia Paula, then divorced her within a year. Then he married Aquilia Severa, a Vestal virgin. To Romans, this was monstrous. Vestals took a 30-year vow of celibacy. Breaking it was punishable by being buried alive. And yet Elagabalus smiled and told the Senate it was logical. A union of priest and priestess would create godlike children. He then married Annia Faustina after having her husband executed, then returned to Aquilia, the defiled Vestal. But what truly shocked Rome was how Elagabalus rejected gender itself. He wore wigs and makeup. He dressed in women's robes. His most famous lover was a chariot driver named Hierocles, whom he called his husband. He allegedly referred to himself as Hierocles' wife and queen. Cassius Dio claimed Elagabalus even offered massive sums to any surgeon who could make him a woman. To Romans, this wasn't eccentricity. It was the collapse of civilization. And while Elagabalus chased pleasure, the real work of running the empire fell to his mother and grandmother. They attended Senate meetings, handed out offices, appointed dancers, actors, and lovers to key posts. The Senate was disgusted. But in the barracks of the Praetorian Guard, something even more dangerous was brewing: hatred. Julia Maesa had seen enough. The woman who had made an emperor now realized her creation was out of control. The Praetorian Guard, the true power in Rome, was losing patience. And Maesa knew, if Elagabalus fell, her family would fall with him. So she began to plot. She had another grandson, Severus Alexander. Everything Elagabalus was not: young, modest, Roman. In 221 AD, Maesa convinced Elagabalus to adopt Alexander as heir, likely claiming it would calm the chaos. He agreed, but that move sealed his fate. The Praetorians immediately adored Alexander. Elagabalus seethed. He stripped Alexander of titles, tried to have him killed, but Maesa, now working against him, blocked the plots. Then came the breaking point. In March 222 AD, Elagabalus spread a rumor that Alexander was dying, just to see how the soldiers would react. They mutinied. The emperor was forced to bring Alexander to the Praetorian camp. They cheered Alexander. They ignored Elagabalus. Furious, the emperor ordered arrests. It was his final mistake. The Praetorians revolted. They stormed the palace. Elagabalus and his mother tried to flee, some say hiding in a latrine. They were dragged out and butchered on the spot. But even death wasn't enough. Their corpses were paraded through the streets. Julia Soaemias's body was dumped. Elagabalus's mangled remains were hurled into the Tiber River. Rome's ultimate rejection. Maesa's coup was complete. Severus Alexander was crowned that very day. The dark reign of the sun god was over. In the aftermath, the Senate moved quickly. Elagabalus's name was scratched from monuments. His statues were shattered. The black meteorite was shipped quietly back to Syria. It was a collective purge, a denial that any of it had ever happened. But history remembers. Was he a fanatic, a puppet, a gender non-conforming rebel, or just a teenager who spiraled under too much power? Whatever the truth, his reign stands as one of ancient history's most bizarre and brutal chapters. He didn't wage war like Caligula or burn Rome like Nero. His war was internal, against Rome's values, gods, and identity. And in the end, he proved a timeless truth. In ancient Rome, no matter how divine an emperor thought he was, if he lost the army, he lost everything. If this story from the darker corners of ancient history fascinated you, hit that like button and subscribe to One Past Many Stories. Comment below. Who do you think is the strangest ruler in world history? Thanks for watching.